Hi, welcome to Loft 801. My name is Diego, and today I'm going to be reacting to the Ramayana trailer. Alright, I got my headphones on just for a better audio experience. Dude, already this looks super cool. Okay, I know it just started, but this actually looks... I like what I'm seeing already, because this kind of gives me the same energy and the same vibes from something like Bahubali. And so I'm excited to see what this is.
तुम्हारा नया राजा
Okay, yeah, I genuinely like what I'm seeing so far because, again, kind of like how I mentioned, this definitely gives me very heavy Bahubali vibes where it's very grandiose, very mythical. And so I'm like genuinely excited to watch this. I think it's going to be really, really cool. It's right up my alley. I love anything medieval fantasy. And I like what I'm seeing so far. The city itself is very beautiful. It's very detailed and intricate. And so I like that.
पृथ्वी लो पाताल लो तीनों लोकों में एक ही राज होगा
Okay, that scene right there kind of gives me the vibes of Journey to the West. It's been so long since I've seen that movie. But that's kind of like the vibe that I'm getting, where there's like mythical creatures. So you got the elephant with the wings, which I imagine is some sort of god or goddess that's being ridden by our hero. And so I like what I'm seeing. It feels very, very mythological. It almost feels like if I were to take the Greek gods and like the Greek pantheon and make a movie about them, but if I were to take that and put it in India with like Indian culture, that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting, and so I'm excited about this. In some ways, what this kind of reminds me of, there was a video game a few years ago that came out called Black Myth Wukong that kind of takes some like Asian mythology and culture and incorporates it all into a big like Dark Souls like game, like a very Elden Ring like game. That's kind of what this movie is giving me vibes of, except obviously it's not Asian culture, it's Indian culture, and so I like what I'm seeing.
जब जब सृष्टि पर संकट आया है, भगवान विष्णु ने अवतार लेकर उसकी रक्षा की।
मेरा ज्येष्ठ पुत्र राम। विश्व कल्याण के लिए यदि
Okay, this is like a very... the music right now during this scene, I love it. It gives like a very epic sense of everything. And so I like what I'm seeing. I don't know much about the story. I don't know anything about Ramayana. Obviously, this guy is Ram, who is the avatar for Vishnu. I don't know who else is going to be in this. And so I'm kind of learning as I'm going. But I am excited. Again, I do like some of the mythological creatures that I'm seeing, kind of like the griffin that's flying right there in the air, dropping the bell for him. And then I also like the troll or the giant that kind of gets shot with the arrow. And so I like that. I think it's really cool. I like that this movie's not afraid to just kind of dive into its mythology and the things that it likes. And more importantly, I like that it's not afraid to kind of show the gods. And so we get to see Lord Vishnu in this. Which is really cool. One of the movies that I saw this year that I thought was shot and filmed very well is The Odyssey. But I think one of the downsides to that movie is that the way that Christopher Nolan filmed it and wrote it is he wanted it to be a very grounded movie. And we never, at any point throughout that movie, got to see any of the Greek gods. And I think that sucks. I think it's one of the low points of the movie is the fact that we don't get to see the people who are manipulating things, pulling strings from behind the scenes. And so I like that we kind of get to see that here in this movie.
मेरा अंत भी हो जाए तो भी मुझे स्वीकार है।
तुम्हारे लिए 14 वर्ष का वनवास.
This also is kind of giving me the same vibes from like Bahubali, where where Bahubali does get not necessarily like exiled, but I guess he does. He gets exiled from the palace because his brother Bala kinda is a snake and manipulates his mom. And so that's kind of like the same vibe that I'm getting here, where he's probably going to be exiled, but all the people are still going to love him because he is a true, genuine hero through and through. And I know who the romantic interest is.
जो आपने मुझे विवाह के समय दिया था, अब हमारा भाग्य एक है, और भाग्य में जो भी लिखा है मुझे स्वीकार है.
Okay, I also like that because I'm going to keep referencing Bahubali the entire time I'm talking about this movie. I like that because kind of like with Bahubali and his wife, they come to a point where they both have to get on the same page, and his wife loves him and she says, I'm leaving my kingdom for you. I expect you to also respect me, and ultimately he does. He chooses his wife over his mother, who is a little power crazy.
जनस्थान की राजकुमारी सूर्पनखा.
I will say, when it comes to big bombastic movies like this, there is usually a heavy use of CGI. Most of the time, doesn't matter. I actually kind of like it. I think it adds to the spectacle, but I do think it is worth pointing out that sometimes it can look a little silly, a little cheesy in some moments. So like with those lions right there, obviously they're CGI because they're not going to use real lions. They'd probably get in trouble for like animal cruelty or something like that. And so that all makes sense. I just think it's worth pointing out that sometimes the CGI can be a little spottier, but I think it all adds to the fun.
वो मोहित हो गए हैं आप पे.
राम से प्रतिशोध लिया जाएगा शूर्पणखा. न राम की मृत्यु साधारण होगी, ना उसका अपमान.
रावण तीनों लोकों का स्वामी है, तो तीनों लोकों के सामने उसका वध करूंगा.
Okay, I'm getting a sense of what the movie is about. I don't know for sure off the top of my head. I'm gonna have to look it up after this. But it kind of seems like a hero's revenge tale. So we got Ram versus Ravana, and Ravana is obviously the bad guy. Looks like he's doing some bad stuff, and apparently he's ruler of 3 realms. And so I imagine, I'm gonna take a guess, it's probably like a celestial realm. You've probably got like a terrestrial realm, and then I don't know, maybe like an underground, like underworld realm. I don't know. I don't know any of the mythology or the lore. But I do like kind of like not like the hero's journey that's being portrayed, but like the hero's arc that we're going to see develop through the movie. I do like a good movie where there is like a solid revenge beat, where it is good versus evil. I love stories like that. Don't get me wrong. I like when like a villain can have like a sympathetic backstory and you can understand them even though they are villains and do evil things. I do like that. So as an example, you probably can see it right there. I've got like a steel book for the Joker. So the Joker is a good example of a movie that does that. The problem is pretty much ever since like the Joker, in my opinion, there have been dozens of movies that have tried to do that and they suck. They try to make our villain sympathetic, and not every villain needs to be sympathetic. That's one of the things that I liked about Masters of the Universe that came out earlier this year. It's just a simple, straight up, like good versus evil story. And so I like that that's kind of like the realm that I'm seeing from this trailer.
मैं अपनी सीता को वापस लाऊंगा.
This genuinely might be in my top 10 like best movies of the year list. When I put that together at the end of the year, hopefully this movie releases in the States. I'll have to look before the end of the year. If it does, then great for me, because I guarantee this is probably going to be in my top 10 list based off of all the stuff that I'm seeing. I love like the grandiose scope to everything. I love all of the different environments that we're seeing, all the different architecture in different parts of like the kingdom. I imagine it's different parts of the kingdom. It could be different kingdoms. It's all so colorful and so vibrant, and I love that. A lot of movies that rely heavily on CGI, I'm going to use Supergirl as an example, have like a lot of color in certain moments, but not throughout the entire thing. And so the climax of the movie Supergirl takes place on kind of like a barren, like dusty, ashen planet. And it doesn't really make for a good like backdrop. Whereas with movies like this, or like in Bahubali, you get entire battles inside of ginormous, detailed, beautiful cities. And so I'm excited to see this because it just looks really good. I know, just unpause. The music is by Hans Zimmer, and I love that because Hans Zimmer is great. He has some of the best scores. Like he genuinely is one of the best composers alive, or I'll go as far as to say of all time. And so the fact that he's also composing the score for this movie, I think that is like flawless. That's like the cherry on top. Because as I'm listening to the music right now, as I'm watching through the trailer, I'm getting excited. I'm getting hyped, and I know that that's exactly how I'm going to be feeling when I'm sitting in the movies. Okay, this is actually an epic backdrop. I love what I'm seeing right here. That's actually a really good shot. But I'm super duper excited to watch this movie. Given kind of like what I'm seeing right now in the trailers, it almost feels like this is going to be like a two-parter, which wouldn't surprise me. Bahubali had part one, so it had Bahubali the beginning and then Bahubali the conclusion, or even like a more recent movie like Durandar. It had Durandar, and then it had Durandar the Revenge. And so I would not be surprised if this movie also ends up having a part two, and I would enjoy it. What I'm seeing so far, I'm excited. This looks like a fantastic, phenomenal movie that is just right up my alley. And so, yeah, I'm gonna be in theaters to watch this one. Honestly, we're gonna look it up right now. Okay, Ramayana release date USA. Okay, look at that. I said it was going to be a part one sort of thing, and it is a part one. So November 6th, 2026, 2 days prior to its domestic debut in India. Wow. Okay, I gotta get my tickets, bro. I'm trying to watch this in the biggest format possible. I'm gonna have to watch this on IMAX because this looks incredibly epic. Before I wrap up, if you have any comments or anything that you want me to check out, please don't forget to let me know. Ooh, Clippy, thank you for requesting that I react to this movie. Sorry if my reaction's not the best. It's been a long time since I've done a reaction, a couple of years, honestly, but this is fun. I'm more than happy to do more reactions like this. I think this is really great, especially if I'm watching movies or trailers like this. I'm excited. So yeah, if you have any recommendations, let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed the reaction, leave a like, hit subscribe, all of the good stuff. And lastly, if you want to see some more from me, then you can check out my vlogs linked up above or my podcast, Good Friends. Again, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time.